Stephen, welcome to Birmingham. It's
Thank you.
so good to have you here. What have you been up to in your first 24 hours here?
Well, I did a little bit of sleeping. That was important, trying to get on the time zone. I just kind of powered through it yesterday and tried to get on a normal time schedule. Got up and ate breakfast at Quarter Horse just down the road, which was amazing. And yeah, just kind of walked around the city, enjoying the sunshine.
So, how are you enjoying being on the road with Brothers Osborne? Because I mean, you've written songs for these guys in the past. Obviously, a huge opportunity for someone like you, who's just sort of starting out in terms of a solo career. So, tell us a little bit about what it's like to be on the road with John and TJ.
I gotta say, their crew, everybody has been incredible. It's so hospitable. I've known those guys for years. We've written a lot of songs, so we've had to share and occupy creative spaces before, and this is a little bit different than writing a song, but sharing a tour bus. But like I said, they've been so hospitable and accommodating, and couldn't be sweeter human beings. They're just the best, and the crew has just been phenomenal. So it's been nothing but laughs and jokes and talking about serious stuff too, but nothing too serious. But yeah, we kind of just really talk about a lot of different stuff. Just kind of like what we do in writing rooms. It's no different. We're just cruising around on planes and buses instead.
And you've been doing some shows with Cadillac 3 guys as well, haven't you? Top guys. I just love interviewing those guys. So what's it been like to hang out with those guys and sort of experience their audience over there?
That's been amazing as well. I've known those guys for like 17 years. We go back from our previous bands. We've probably played 200 shows together in our previous entities. And so yeah, they just have been dear brothers of mine, and they wanted me to come out on that run. So it's kind of my first tour. It was going out with them, and this is basically my second one. So I've gotten a tour with all my friends so far. I feel a little spoiled, honestly. It's like it can't all be this good, But yeah, this has been a really incredible start. And those guys are the same crew, same style. Just amazingly accommodating, just beautiful human beings, and incredible band. That's also such a treat to get to watch both Brothers and Cadillac play every night and see them do what they do, get inspired by it.
And I just want to sort of delve back into your background a little bit, because you were just talking to James from Entertainment Focus. Your backstory is such an intriguing one, an interesting one, starting out in boxing and then going into the microbiology and doing stuff at Mars. Just talk us through, in sort of a long story short format, sort of your journey to where you are now.
Okay, well, I was raised by my dad, and he was a fighter. So I grew up watching him box as a kid, and just seeing that was kind of our thing as a family, as our family sport. And so I started fighting naturally around 6 or 7 years old. So my first stage was actually a boxing ring. That's where I kind of learned to perform. I watched my dad perform. I could see how he could kind of work the audience with his skill and his performances. And that's how I kind of got into like working the crowd and all that. And I was very shy and quiet as a kid, like painfully shy. And my dad was not, he was very like outgoing. And so I just kind of used boxing as my outlet, and it kind of set a bar really high for me as far as like pressure situations to handle, like the pressure cooker of life. That was a pretty intense pressure cooker to throw myself in. And I boxed through my young childhood and into my teens, and then I quit when I was about 14 and kind of got into grunge music and songwriting and country music, everything that was playing on the radio at the time. And I had a somewhat unfortunate first kiss out at a roller skating rink, and this girl broke up with me like right after it on a cordless phone, and I started listening to grunge music because of that. And so I love the songs of country music though too. I heard this song called "Don't Take the Girl" on the school bus one time, and it just destroyed me, wrecked me, literally right there in my seat, which was not a good look for a little farm boy from southern Indiana. And So I was like trying not to, but I just couldn't figure out what the hell just happened to me. That was, as much as I was embarrassed, I was just like baffled. It's like, how did this happen? This, like, movies don't make me cry. Like, yeah, like this did. It just like wrecked me in 3.5 minutes. And that's when I first got intrigued by the wizardry of songwriting. You could see how powerful words were, and especially conjoined with melody and intention behind it. And it was like, that song just found me. And it found a lot of people, I know. But that was when I was like, someone did this. This didn't just fall out of the sky. Someone constructed this, and I got to figure out who did it, why they did it, how they did it. And that like was the beginning of the journey, I think, to understanding and becoming a songwriter. And so I graduated high school. I was good at like nerdy stuff, biology and chemistry, and so a lot of people in my town were like, well, you're good at that, you should probably do that, because if you don't, you're going to be working on a farm or a factory. And that I wouldn't have minded doing that. It just didn't seem like my path. So I ended up going to college, one of the first in my family to go to college, and graduated with a degree in microbiology and chemistry. And right as I graduated, I started an indie rock band for fun, because I started playing guitar and teaching myself guitar when I was about 16, 17 years old. My dad got me a guitar for my 16th birthday, and I just kind of dug into it, especially after the terrible kiss, and I had a bunch of like, just inspiration from all those years. And I basically took to music real quick and figured out that I liked music, I think, more than the average human being. And my dad caught me picking out like a theme song to a sitcom on a little Casio keyboard player, and he just was like, that is really weird that you just sat down and did that. And I just realized, okay, my ear is able to pick out these songs. And it wasn't long after I started playing guitar that I was just listening to songs and just started playing them. And I just would listen to guitar players and replicate what they were doing, and I just loved it. And so I went to college just thinking this is just going to be a hobby. I wrote songs kind of privately, never would have played them for anybody. I never even dreamed of singing them. That would have been mortifying, to be honest. So I went to college and graduated, started the indie rock band. Before I knew it, we were touring with all these bands, and all this stuff just kind of happened naturally, and we were playing 200 shows a year. And so I gave that a shot instead of going and getting my PhD, which was part of the plan. But I was like, this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. I should probably do this. And so I went and toured with them and got a bunch of experience as a songwriter, because that's where I first started really writing songs for an entity. Even though I wasn't the singer, like the lead singer sang all the songs, but I felt like I was writing for something, and I could see like, oh, I wrote this, and I could see how people would react to it. It was like, wow, this is so cool. And that was like where I really started honing in my craft as a songwriter. And after about 5 years of doing that, we got just to a point where finances were really tough, and I hit kind of financial rock bottom. And I'd met my wife around that time, and she has a son, and I was, kind of conflicted as to what to do, because that music path didn't seem to be sustainable. And so I quit the band and went and got a job working in R&D for Mars Food Company. So I was a food scientist. I went from like literally a rock band to a food scientist, and I was doing that full time, and it was a really great job, really great company, took incredible care of me, very supportive. And after about 4 years of doing that, I had a heart-to-heart with a boss that kept catching me writing songs. I could not stop writing songs. Like, the voices got even louder. Like, it was even more apparent. The more I kind of advanced at that job, like the songs got louder in my head, if that makes sense. They're like, you should probably get that looked at. But I just kept writing them, and my boss would see me do it. Like, I'd be in the labs writing songs while I was working on something, and because I got to the point where I could kind of autopilot my job and then write and do what I was passionate about. And he could tell. He's like, that's what you want to do, but you're doing this, and you're doing good at it, but how long, you sure you want to do this forever? Like, because it seems like you want to do that. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I was like, you know, real talk, but I don't know how to do that as a job. Like, that's not a job. It is a job, but I don't know exactly. I'd have to kind of start over. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And he's like, well, you should probably figure out if that's what you want to do. And like, you're hitting a crossroads at the company here where you're gonna kind of advance, and you're not going to be able to go back to that. Like, you're going to change your whole life. You're going to buy a bigger house, a better car, and then you're going to be stuck because, you know. And so after about 3 weeks of deliberating that conversation, I put in my 2 weeks and left and went to write songs for a living, which was like, most everybody there was like, you're crazy. But I had a lot of people there supporting me too. And so I went and bartended, waited tables and stuff, everything, any job I could at night, and wrote during the day, 5-6 days a week with anybody and everybody who would write with me, or by myself. I mean, really, I got good at writing songs by myself. That was the biggest thing. Like, I had to figure out how to be confident on my own, and that's kind of where I started singing, because I realized nobody's going to sing my songs for me. So I had to just start singing, because I just wanted to sing them so someone else could sing them. I had never thought like, oh, my voice would be the vehicle. I just wanted to put a good recording down so someone else could like it and then want to sing it. But eventually, after doing this over and over again with demos, like, someone was, you know, like, these label A&R people would be like, well, we love this song and this would be great for this person, but who's singing these songs? Like, who's that? And we're like, well, that's the guy who wrote them. And this guy at BMG named Chris Oglesby heard one of my weird songs and signed me in 2016. And that conversation just kept coming up, like, as he'd pitch a song for, like, you know, the people would be like, I love this song, but who's singing it? Like, what's he doing? And you know, I didn't really think. I always just blew it off for years. And then my dad died, and you know, I think it was something he wanted me to explore, and something I never did while he was alive, and I always just regretted it. And when he passed away, like, my brain just kind of got rewired instantly. Like, what I thought was capable and what I wasn't capable of doing just didn't matter anymore. It was just like, it's almost like it wiped the slate clean. But I had these skills still. It's not like I forgot how to write music. I just kind of forgot who I was and all the barriers that I put up in front of myself. And so it just kind of cleared the chessboard for me, and I just started over, like, just gave me a new perspective. And I put out this song called The Devil, and it was like the first song I ever put out as an artist, and a song that kind of just woke me up in the middle of the night, and I started playing it out and people would really react to it. And so I put that out, and that's really where it all started, the artist stuff. And but you know, before all that, I was writing songs like intentionally for other artists, and I've been just so blessed that brothers Osborne and artists like Caitlin Smith and Trace Atkins have all decided to record some of my songs too, and I'm really blessed on that end, and that's something I always hope happens. I love writing for other people, but it's cool having this vehicle too when I need to.
Well, now that you've started that performing journey, is it difficult as a songwriter when you write such a great song like I Can't, for example, or is it difficult to then pass that song on to somebody else and say you can take it and give it a life when you've got your own solo performing career now where you might be able to use that song to your own benefit?
Well, first of all, I can't. There's no way I could have done that any better than Caitlin. I can't perform that song like she can. So that was a no-brainer there. But yeah, you do have some of those conflicts, especially now. Like, I'll write a song and, you know, people ask me, is this for you or is this for somebody else? Which was a conversation that never came up. That was not even on the table when I turned in a song. It was obviously for somebody else. And now that's a conversation being had almost every song I write. It's like, and I have to think about that. It's like, you know, because yeah, some songs, I can't cut every song. I don't know if cut is a word that you're familiar with, but some people don't know what that means. But you can't record every song you write. So, and I write a lot of songs. I write probably 150, 200 songs a year. And so I kind of had to come to terms, like not all of them are going to get recorded by me or by somebody else. So I basically record the songs that I feel like have really wrapped themselves around my heart. It's like, excuse me, it's something that takes time. I don't think there's a single song I've ever written that I wrote it and I was like, this is my song. Like right after I wrote it, I just write it, and then I just kind of have to live with it, and then it's like it grows around my heart in a weird way, and then I was like, okay, it's latched on, and I can't tear it off now. It's like grown in, like the roots have grown in, and it's just too late. And usually that's your sign, like this is your song. And if that answers your question
absolutely.
in a weird.
Well, one of the songs that has become one of your songs, Holler From The Holler. It's an epic 5-minute long track. Tell us a little bit about that, because it's a very personal one for you. It touches on your sort of upbringing and sort of lower class community that you grew up in. So tell us how that one came together and why that one felt like a song for you.
Okay, well, I was writing with this guy named Craig Wiseman, who's a brilliant songwriter, who kept writing with me. I don't know why. Like, he's had like 28 number ones, and like there's like 1,000 people he could be writing with, but he just would keep showing up and want to write with me. And he had this nickname for me called he called me Holler From The Holler for like 3 years. It was a nickname. He loved it when I would holler. When we'd write a song, I'd start hollering. He's like, oh, you need to holler more. Holler, holler. I love it when you holler. And he knew, like, we knew each other really well. He knew about my upbringing, and I grew up in this little holler in southern Indiana, and so he started calling me Holler From The Holler, like, and that was just a joke. It was like a nickname. And then we were writing on Zoom about a year ago, and he's like, Holler From The Holler, what are you doing? And he's from Mississippi, so he's very southern, and I was like, I don't know, just sitting here and what do you want to write today? He was like, Holler From The Holler. It's like, we can't just put that on a t-shirt. Like, we should probably write that as a song. And I was like, whoa, yeah, maybe. Like, started thinking about it. And a week before we wrote that song, I had this A&R person ask me, she identified, she said, there's pain in your voice. Like, I hear pain in your voice. I was like, whoa. She's like, where does that come from? I was like, that's a heavy question. I can't answer that question right now. And so I had to think about it. I just let it kind of sit there for a week. And Craig brought that up, and I was like, wait, I could answer that question with the song. Like, I didn't really want to go into the grit of my childhood, but I grew up, like I said, raised by my dad mostly, and I love my mother so much, and I'm so grateful to have her in my life now. And I spent limited time with her as a kid, and when I did, I was around these very abusive stepfather figures that were drug addicts and would beat the crap out of her, and I would have to listen to it or watch it or look at her afterwards, and it was just this constant like turmoil. And it haunted me as a kid. Like, I wanted to kill those men, and I had to keep it from my dad my whole childhood. He died never knowing about any of it, and because I knew I would never see my mom again, probably, if he found out some of the stuff that was going on. I was just afraid that she would get in trouble for it, so I had to kind of like keep it all in. I never told anybody, and it just kept happening, and I was perpetually worried about her. Sorry, Scott, we're almost done. I was perpetually worried about her, and like I said, it basically plagued me. Like that's a big reason why I was quiet as a kid. Like, I was always never wanted to talk. I was always in a constant state of post-traumatic stress, and I didn't realize that as a kid. As an adult, I realize it, so I just would stay to myself and just kind of just revert inward. So when that song came about, it was like a way for me to address that. It was very cathartic. Like, when I sing the chorus, it's like a spiritual release for me. but yeah, so that song came from, like, I had to pull from those experiences, and I kind of started thinking it, because I never took therapy or, you know, talked to anybody, even though people tell me I should, and I probably still should. But I just use songs. I use music as my therapy, and so that was my way of kind of dealing with it, was that song, and I wanted to use those experiences to, you know, when we made the video for it that just came out a couple of days ago, that was, you know, not 100% identical to what I grew up with, but it was very much inspired by a lot of it. So I used a lot of those experiences to channel that energy, which I think a lot of people, I know I wasn't alone in that experience as a kid. And I know a lot of other people aren't, and I hope it, if anything, gives people like some empowerment to kind of like climb out of that hole and, you know, hopefully change some things. If I would have known that as a kid, I might have done things, I might have changed things. I might have ratted those dudes out and got my mom out of that situation. I was just too young, and I didn't understand how to deal with it all. And I remember hearing this song as a kid, a country song by Martina McBride called Independence Day. And when I first heard that song, it resonated so hard with me. So this song was kind of, it was my Independence Day, if that makes sense. So.
Well, Stephen, I know you got to get on stage in a little while, so I'm gonna let you go. But thank you so much for doing this today.
You're very welcome, dude. Thank you so much for waiting on me and putting up with me.
Absolutely, man. Cheers, nice one.